slurry, rock snot, sludge, whatever you call it. If you're going to tumble rocks, you're going to have to deal with it. Let me tell you about the system I've settled on. First thing you need to know is to not dump it down the drain. It'll harden in your pipes like concrete, and then you're going to need to get a plumber involved, and nobody wants that. The first thing I try to do is reduce the amount of water I use. This doesn't change the amount of rock dust I produce, but it does make it a little easier to get rid of less water. For small barrels, I dump everything in a colander and rinse it while swishing everything around with one hand. I can usually rinse a whole barrel full of rocks with just 2 barrels of water. For larger barrels, I start by dumping off as much slurry as I can, and then I rinse the rocks as I remove them from the barrel. I use very little water doing this. You can use dirty water over again in the coarse grinding stage to further reduce your water usage. All of my wastewater goes into 5-gallon buckets as you've seen, but I have 2 other buckets in my system. First, I let this water settle out for a couple days. The heavier rock dust will settle to the bottom and you'll be left with cleaner water on the top. For you fellow Michiganders, I've noticed that Petoskey stone slurry acts as a flocculant, settling all the rock dust out completely. You can end up with completely clear water on the top. After the dust settles, I siphon cleaner water off the top into a clean bucket. If the water is completely clear, it goes right down the drain. If it's not clear, I dispose of it outside. I have a hole in the woods behind my house, and I built a box with boards from an old deck to line it. I used to use this all the time, but eventually the rock dust will clog the sand and the water will drain really slowly after that. So to avoid clogging it, in the summer, I usually dump the water on the edge of the road. I use borax in my tumbling, and borax will kill plants, so I'm careful not to dump it on my lawn. In the winter, I always use a hole in the woods because I don't want to create ice on the road. Believe it or not, this almost never freezes, and if it does, it's during below 0 temperatures. And even then, it just gets a thin layer of ice on the top. The water that's left over in the bucket occasionally gets dumped into another bucket, and the sludge on the bottom is left to dry out. When it's dry, I just dump it in the trash and start the process over again. If any of you have a method for disposing of your slurry that works better for you, please mention in the comments so we can all learn something.